Okay, today's video we're talking about social media influencer campaigns. If you're running one right now, or should I say if you're not, you should be running something to do with your business, whether you're selling a product, definitely also with a lot of services. How you could use social media influencers to your advantage to power an actual PPC ad campaign. Not anything to do with remarketing, which I've mentioned on another video here, but to actually get new customers in the door all by itself or without any remarketing can do all by itself. I'm going to give you a strategy on how to, this is about video ads, how to run a video ad on YouTube using a social media influencer and what they can do for you to make a spectacular video ad that works on pretty much any, especially any products, but a lot of services out there, to get somebody who's totally unaware of your product or service to, in a very short period of time, be familiar with it and want to buy it. Why? Because they believe and trust in their social media personality that they follow on YouTube, and tapping directly into that to get immediate sales for your site or for your company in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain this in detail, how you can set up the video ads that are done through YouTube ads, which is done through Google Ads itself, because you set up YouTube ads through Google Ads, how to set up the ads, how you get in touch with the influencers on YouTube, how you proposition them, how you get them to help you make an ad, how to make the ad itself, and then I'm going to get into how to optimize the ad and what kind of results you can basically expect on a business like yours, given that you actually are one of the few people that right away, should be more, but right away go out there and use this to your advantage so you can see what you're up against. Given it's not the most simple strategy, anybody could do this, but it's not a 5-minute strategy here like a lot of the stuff that I do mention on this channel is, but has a lot more potential and a lot way harder to copy for anybody, even that people in your market can see it, but they won't copy it because it takes energy and effort. So basically, once this is going, one thing when it does work, or if it doesn't work after some fine tuning to where you get it to where it starts working like it should be. So really it's not a matter of if, it will always work. It's just a matter of when and how much fine tuning you need to do. It will work for years and years, bringing you 6-7 figures of sales on an ongoing basis, like we've seen with other companies where we've done this exact thing for your business once it's already set up and going for your business already. So anyway, I want to give you a quick background before I tell you exactly what the strategy is and how to set it up for yourself. Like people have done for years with TV ads, celebrities in your ads have had a large impact on your ads effectiveness overall, because it makes what you're saying and doing there and what you're selling more believable. I never got this myself, but you don't have to be your customer here. If a celebrity is, even if they say they don't even use it, which is what always fooled me, they could just be holding the face cream product, and because they're holding it, now the product becomes more believable. But the other element is it gets more attention in general. If you see an ad going and you see Joe Montana, the football quarterback, holding the product, or George Foreman for the George Foreman grill, you start paying attention sooner, because you're like, well, if they got him, this must be a big deal kind of thing, right? And you recognize the face. So you recognize it faster, you want to pay attention to it more, and you believe more so what they're saying, because if they can get him to say it, well, it must not be a scam, whether or not that's true, which it's not, right? But I can tell you, based upon how well this works, because still to this day, I do have clients who run like YouTube ads with a celebrity on it, okay? It does actually lift your click-through rates and your ROI in your campaign substantially. We're talking about 2 to 3x versus no celebrity, just as a side byproduct so you know what's going on with celebrities in general. But there's a digital kind of equivalent that wasn't around there before, other than using an actual celebrity. an equivalent that's easier to do and cheaper to do up front that anyone can do is using social media influencers, which social media influencers, I don't care what anybody says, they're basically like the modern day celebrities. The celebrities, you know, of course, like the top football players and stuff like that are still relevant, but people aren't watching TV anymore. And so, you know, and the younger the crowd is that you're targeting, the more so it is, the more so they're using YouTube, and the less that they're using regular TV. And if there's, you know, there's a few people that they subscribe to that review products and they have the vlogs and stuff, and they trust their opinion more than people, you know, television stars, respectively, given that they don't even watch that anymore. So before people catch up and realize this, you could take advantage of this strategy and really make out like a bandit in your market. Given the most of your competitors, when they see it, yes, it seems it's the perfect thing that you can do when you have something that works is have something that doesn't look like it works and also be difficult to replicate. So what people do is they say, I don't think it works, and they're going to tell themselves that because it's difficult to do, and then let you do it, and they'll keep seeing it, and they'll keep telling themselves that, or it leaves it wide open for you to keep making money with it for years. So you could use a social media influencer, i.e. YouTuber in this case, somebody with 100,000 plus subscribers, something like around that range or better. And you can use the independent reviews that they can give you of your product, or even it could definitely work for a service too. Use those in combination. Instead of a celebrity holding your product and talking, which obviously they could say they use it, but obviously they aren't going to even do that for you. You could use a social media influencer that actually will use it and actually, you know, give an actual literal review of that product or service. And given if your product's good, which you should only be selling something that is good, obviously, you've got an uphill battle, just find something else to do. You can use that review itself as a sales and marketing tool, which is highly, highly effective, which I've personally verified myself, and more effective, or as effective as using a top celebrity or better, because to certain people that you're targeting here, if you target YouTube ads, people on YouTube, those people watching on YouTube will skew more than likely not watching TV, so they put more stock in the influencer. And what else could you get that's better than their idol on YouTube to say your product or service is awesome? And given there's so many influencers, and since literally 70% of people out there use YouTube nowadays to some shape or form, and there's so many channels, there's hundreds of thousands of YouTubers to pick from. Your customer, there's a YouTuber that has a majority of what your customer demographics are in there, and you could go directly to them, have them review, and specifically because the targeting can be so much better on top of them normally not watching TV, the overall cumulative effect, what you can do is just as good as having a celebrity reviewing your product. Well, not so much reviewing it, but being a spokesperson for you on an ad actually and what it can deliver on its own. So, and it's cheaper to get a social media influencer with 500,000 subs to, way cheaper, obviously, than Joe Montana or something to review your product. Easier to set up, it's easier in all different ways. My advice to you is to use this strategy and try to do what I'm saying here, go and using a social media influencer than going after a celebrity anyway, even if you had the money and you had the choice and whatever. Just as good or even better. So that all said, and respectively, everybody that has a product, for sure, a branded product, should be doing this regardless. Because if you think about it from the consumer's perspective, you want to buy a brand new drill, cordless drill. How are you going to know which one to buy if you don't have any real technical knowledge of like how to really know about the horsepower and all this other stuff that most people don't know. You want a review of the product. Well, you can't trust review sites, right? Because people lie. And those review sites, they have to make money somehow, and they make money by favoring certain people. If you didn't know that, that's definitely how it is. And I don't care if people say they don't, because this is the way that the market works. I understand it. I've been in marketing one way or another for 15 years. But what they do believe is a YouTuber, which whole business isn't revolving around reviews. So that's like the king review that you could get, that they're going to believe the most. And so if you know most people would want a review, and you know that having a social influencer review your product would be the top way to get a review, then why would you not want that done anyway? Unless you obviously think your product is crap, and if so, don't be selling it in the first place. Not that it's unethical, but there's 1,000 products out there to sell. Come up with a different one where it's better than the competition. At least then when you get going, the business will grow on its own then, versus constantly having an uphill battle. So given that in the consumer size is very, very important, and if you look around in your space, there may be some competition out there that has people reviewing the product, but generally it's not large people with large followings. And if they do it, they're not doing the follow-up here, like I said, to really take advantage of it. Usually with social influencers, they'll get the influencer to say something about the product, but then after that review or whatever that they're doing, whatever sales they get from it, it just stops. I mentioned in other videos that if you do use social influencers, I recommend highly. You basically, for sure, you're just wasting money. Otherwise, you should send them to a specialized landing page that mentions the influencer on there, so that when they get to the site, because a lot of people, when they initially hear what the influencer has to say, they're not ready to buy right things. They don't have the credit card. They have to wait to get paid or whatnot, and then you could remarket to them an ad that has the picture of the influencer on it to drive them back to that same page, and you'll get way more sales that way. But even still, the influencer is, when they say it one time, that's only going to get so many people. And only 10% or so of the subscribers are even going to see the video, respectively. And when somebody hears something once, it's not nearly as psychologically powerful as when they hear something said 7 to 10 times, that's proven in marketing studies across the world, the power of sevens with marketing. So how can we obviously we can't ask the YouTuber to review it 7 times. They don't want to bore their audience. We can get the digital equivalent with some finessing with technology and how we can use technology to get the review that everybody wants and everybody believes the most, and get it so that it will be effectively repeatable, which the social influencers and and paying social influencers to do a sponsorship in and itself lacks. It has a lot of power to it all by itself, definitely, which is why it's social influencer marketing is growing still. So social media influencer marketing is growing at a really fast rate still, has been the last 4 or 5 years, due to how effective it is. Even if your competition's doing that, you can blow them away with just this one little twist and actually do what I call influencer marketing PPC campaigns, to take what already works and really just multiply and amplify the effect of what it actually can do. And given I'm just a PPC guy, I want to be able to take anything that works and turn it into a PPC strategy anyway. That's what I do here. And generally I can. I don't care. Or you use something to drive people in, and then you use PPC to take over remarketing. There's things that you can do with PPC to get people to go offline. In retrospect, just about everybody, I don't care what business you have, PPC is going to work, and it's just a matter of fitting it in with what already works to amplify. You can get more out of it, amplify what you're doing, like what we're talking about here. So anyway, here is the actual strategy here to take a influencer review that if your prospective customer that's perfect for your product would see it, would basically buy it every time, how to get it in front of them, make sure they see it, and how to scale the strategy once you've already seen it works respectively for your business. So the first step is you find a YouTube influencer with an audience that matches your key user demographic, 100K plus audience size, 100K plus subs is what I would recommend. It can be smaller if you have a niche product, definitely. You can go all the way down to 5,000 if you wanted to. But knowing the user demographic of the YouTube channel is important. So, and that's obviously somewhat difficult to find out. So in other words, YouTube, their subscriber base, knowing if they're male or female or age demographic, the actual YouTuber will pretty much know if you just ask them. One other way to find out is you could set up an ad campaign targeting just that channel by itself. And yes, that's possible. And with that, you could run the ads, spend $100 on ads, and then go in to your display account there that you set up the YouTube campaign on Google Ads. Through the display account settings, you could see what percent was male versus female, age demographics, all that data is there. So you could find out just by spending a little bit of money which way the demographics skew there. You can actually find out, if you're not sure, if they're high school graduates or not by adding that as a secondary observation. You can search that. Or if that person is interested in chess, the amount of observations you can set up to monitor the key things that you know about your market, that customers and traits that your customers have, to see if that YouTuber's audience has those people. Half of the getting this right is picking the right YouTubers that have the right audience. And with display ads or display advertising, i.e. anything but search engine advertising, that you run ads across the web, I mentioned, everything comes down to, can you narrow down the targeting and the audience enough to where you have a pristine audience at the end of the day, that 1% or more of the audience there, would buy the product. And once you can get there, you generally can be profitable. And so when you got, 1 billion people to target, you got to narrow it down far enough to get there. And some people will be able to market to more than others, but that's the general premise, regardless of what you're doing. So if you're talking about social media, social influencer marketing, you got to do the same thing. And when you're running PPC ads, which you're going to be running PPC ads to people ultimately who see your social media influencer that you pick review the product, then since you're going to be spending money long term, it's even more important to get it right. Because whereas it might only cost $100 to get a quick shout out from a social media influencer, and if you don't get it right, you lost $100, you're going to be spending $10,000 worth of advertising pushing this actual review. So it's better to, as they say, like if you're doing carpentry, measure twice, cut once. Better to spend double or triple the amount of time researching the YouTubers, what audiences they have, by asking them, by running a test campaign. No, and then furthermore than that, as I mentioned many times on this channel, you got to know what are the traits of your customers that make them unique. So you can go and find an audience that actually has that. And if you don't know what it is, you either do a survey of your customers, or you ask your salespeople, or you take your customer list that you have, their email addresses or their cell phone numbers, and you go to a data enhancement / extension company, and they will tell you all the other traits they have, and those exist, and you could search for that on Google to find out, that what are the most common traits that all your customers have in common. So you can go and use that to find a display audience to target online, whether that's targeting a certain people on a YouTube channel, whether that's targeting people on a certain website. So just basic display advertising things that you need to know about, just to get this and other things to work when you're running display advertising. As a side note, find the right YouTube audiences or YouTube channels in which you want customers from, and know that you have a really targeted group of people there that you want to target with an ad that would work if you had the right ad. ask the YouTuber itself how much to do a before and after review, not just a sponsorship. Well, most people with this influencer marketing stuff they're cutting themselves way short. Like I said, they're asking for like one shout out, or they'll do a sponsorship where, like for 30 seconds during the video, they'll talk about, the product itself, but they won't actually review it. And that doesn't have near the pull as if they actually reviewed it. Not even close. You're talking about 10 times more powerful having an actual review. And yes, it's going to take more of their time. And obviously they can review it wrong, but you could just tell them to review it. And if they review it badly, don't use it. But if they review it, and basically it's kind of biased, obviously, to get them to review it, knowing that you're going to have to be paying for a review or incentivizing them. So if you want to be completely honest and ethical about it, you send your product out to your YouTuber that you want to do a sponsorship, if you will, or promote, tell their audience about your product, just have them review it. If they like it, you could say, I will use you, for some sponsorships in the future or whatever, but I want to make sure you like it. So, you feel, you could just tell them so that you feel honest and ethical promoting it to your audience. So whereas you might find 10 YouTubers that you want to promote your product that have the perfect audiences for that, only 5 of them might actually like your product, and then you're stuck with 5 in terms of what you can use for the rest of this strategy I'm giving you here. So, and they're not going to be used to actually having you ask them for a review. Their quick wins are a sponsorship, because that takes very little time. You can mention, sometimes if you just give them the product, they won't review it, obviously, especially if they're, bigger, like 1 million, plus subs. They just don't have time. Everybody wants them to review their product. So you can actually tell them you'll pay them just for their opinion on it. You can get anybody to review anything if you give them enough money, as we have found. If you want a celebrity to review your product, it might be 25 grand, but they'll do it. And so it's just a matter of figuring out the price, figure out what, maybe you could ask them what their shout out prices are, and take that, multiply that by 10 times, and then offer them that much just to review the product and tell you what they think. And you could say, I'm not going to use it without your permission, but I want you to tell me what you think. Once you've done that, now you're in position to go into the next step, which is you're going to run video ads on the same channel from that YouTuber's channel, which show a 30-second advertisement showing their results of the review that they did. And you're going to ask the influencer itself to be the spokesman or spokeswoman. So in other words, once they've reviewed it, they like the product, you've paid them to just tell you if they like it or not, in most occasions, if you're going after bigger YouTubers, then what you're going to do is you're going to say, instead of a sponsorship, okay, I want you to do a 30-second sponsorship per se on your YouTube channel, just like you normally would, but I want to go over the actual case study of you using this product. And if you're using like a skin product, show them before and after. If it's a hair product, before, after. If it's a service, here's before, here's after. Get that whole 30-second spot just saying, basically, hi, I'm just letting you know about a new cleaning service that I tried here. Tried it. Here's what it was before. Here's what it was after. If you like it, I got the company to give me all our subscribers a 10% discount if you use this link, which is the standard thing, so that you can get people to act more than they would otherwise, to build urgency, and then also for tracking purposes, since you want to see if it's working or not. But that's what you do. Then they could share it on their channel, but you only get so much action off that one time sharing it. And even if they do it 2 or 3 times, which sometimes they'll do for you in terms of the shout out on their channel, on their video and their channel itself, it's still not near the impact of being able to you're going to take that same exact 30-second spot and you're going to put it into a video by itself, and then you're going to have that video show up on that channel for people who watch that channel for the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. It actually can go on forever. I've got clients where it's never stopped. Yes, you don't want to go too frequent, so you can set the frequency which is the number of times that your video ad is shown to a certain audience and over a certain time period, where you can have it show up once or twice a week and no more, but it will run forever. As new subscribers come in, they're going to start to see it. The people that have seen it, it'll build credibility the more that they've seen it, especially once you get over, they've seen it 7 to 10 times already. So, and like I said, you can actually target your video ads on YouTube using the Google Ads, which is where you do ads on YouTube, to where you can only just target a channel. So if you get the subscriber or the person in which runs that channel to review that particular, the influencer itself, to review your product, it's a good review, then as that person's watching other videos on that channel, you could have through an in-stream ad in the middle of the video, have the ad show up of the same person that they were just actively watching, reviewing your product. And maybe they click skip and it takes 20 times before they finally, watch it. But you'll get through to every single person who watches the channel all together that way. So if they have 1 million people, it'll take a while before everybody, because not everybody watches every video, like I said, and then a lot of people just click skip before they hear anything, but eventually you'll get through to everybody having an ad set up that way for that particular channel. And you're going to do this with 5 to 10 influencers, and which influencer and channel drives the most traffic or sales for your company. So when you give them the discount code, by the way, so you could track physically how many sales are coming in, but you could set up, tracking through Google Ads and through Google Analytics. So if somebody comes through and buys, or if somebody comes through and fills out a contact form request, you can track, whether that's happening or not, and if it's coming from YouTube or not, right? And on the video ad itself, you can track it down to the video ad itself, and you can also track it down to which channel it came from. So respectively, because it doesn't always work, you don't want to be discouraged if it doesn't work the best. It always works to the degree that you'll eventually have to fine tune and you'll get it to work through optimization. But sometimes it'll work extremely good. Sometimes it'll work not so great, just based upon the influencer itself and the type of audience that they have. So you try 5 to 10 and so that you make sure you find 1 or 2 that knock it out of the park. And then you could go try another 10 with the profits you get from the 1 or 2 that really, really work right away. For the rest of them, you can do, within that audience, somebody who's interested in, that has a income of 100K plus, where you're selling outdoor grills, high-end grills. Respectively, you run your video there of the grill review on that person's channel. It gets you a 2-to-1 return in terms of $2 of sales for $1 worth of advertising spend on that channel. Not good enough, right? Or would say you need to get an 8-to-1 return. You could, after you ran that ad, you could see under the income demographic settings that all the sales that you were getting were coming from anything from the 80K and above income demographic. Well, then you just shut off all the rest of the demographics. So respectively, if there's only 20% of that YouTuber's audience that actually is profitable in terms of what their demographics are like, it can also be interests too. It can be, people that like chess and also watch this channel, those are profitable, versus if they don't like chess and watch that channel, they're not. You could just, through a process of elimination, shut off the stuff that doesn't work. Now you have a return. You'll have a lesser overall total return, but it'll be at the margin you want still, or ROI that you want still, and that's how it's done. Whereas sometimes it'll work right away with you should be able to have 1 or 2 of those that work right away with no optimization basically at all. So it's like I say, it's not a matter of if, but when. And once you have enough data to just see what didn't work and what will work on an ongoing basis, once it's dialed in, you can just keep it running. That person's YouTube channel is going to continue to grow. If they have 1 million, and usually channels grow by about 10% a month or so. So if they have 1 million subscribers, they're going to have 100,000 more subscribers in 1 month, practically. That might be overestimating it, but you get basically my point. The bigger subscribers, they're going to have a lot of new people coming in on right away. Of course, you're going to have to pay the bigger subscribers more money, but when it works, they will actively be building you more prospects to market to, and it all running automatically for you once that's already set up. You're going to run the ads that work, and definitely on those particular sales channels that work, they should all work to some degree, some more than others. And once it's set up, you can keep running it effectively for years. If I'm going to do PPC, I'm going to make sure that everything I am doing, I can set it up to where it will run for years, because the first few months is going to be hell to get it up and going and working and not be profitable perhaps for the first month or two. And but with the bonus that once it's set up, it can all be automated. And that's what's great about PPC. So in general, though, that's the overall formula. It's not complicated. Yes, you're going to need to do some famoosing, some finessing, finagling with your YouTubers. Find out who actually has the audiences which you need to target, and then get them to review your product. Hope that they review it good, and then get them to be a spokesperson for you on a 30-second time slot video that goes over the review that they did and that it worked for them. And you should try it, because it probably, or hopefully should work for you as well. And then they just run on that channel forever, and it brings in a certain amount of customers on every month from then on. You can try more channels doing the same thing once 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 work, and just get as many of them you can in your space. You can get hundreds of channels eventually working for you like that. So it's a scalable strategy once you find out it works at all in the beginning, or after 2-3 months of optimizing it, it works to get you an ROI. Now you can just keep doing the same thing and find other influencers, knowing that each influencer you get, it's not just going to be a one and done. It's going to be, we're going to run this forever afterwards. It's going to bring in sales on an automated basis on our own over time. So case studies here. This is where I've done this exact strategy before. Not always can I get the client, we do a PPC, we offer PPC management here. I don't get into the weeds talking and negotiating with YouTube influencers, and a lot of times when I suggest to people that they go do this stuff, they don't have a good infrastructure set up to do it, or they're like, it's easy to dismiss it because it takes energy, so they make excuses. So I don't get to do this very often. When I do it, it works extremely well, as you probably already shaking your head earlier, yes, to the whole thing, that it makes perfect sense why this would work. Everybody wants to see a review from somebody they already trust. If they see a review from their friend, now it becomes a referral. They think who they watch on YouTube is their friend, whether it is or not. So it's just like getting a referral from a friend, basically speaking, at that point once you do this. It does, I will admit, work better if you have a visual, a product, which with that, it's easy to visually see it before and after. Diet product, anything like that, that's what you want to do. Even though, but in diet, you might get your ads not approved, of course, doing that. But I did this in the hair regrowth space. There's a helmet, an LED helmet, where you basically put it on and it helps you regrow your hair. Before and afters with that, and did it exactly like I said here. We did 5 videos with that, and we had 1.6 million in sales over. So this is just the first year once it's already set up and going, from the time the ads are going fully on all 5 of those videos. Okay, this could have definitely been scaled. I wasn't around to help scale it, but the ROI from that, in terms of the revenue divided by the ad spend it costs to get the ads running on an ongoing basis, is 610%. So the ROI is good. There's better ROI activities out there, but and with that, if it would have, it's just a matter of time. If we needed it for sure an 8-to-1 return here, which the client was okay with a 6-to-1 pretty much, but to get to 8-to-1, we just have to look at the data. And a lot of times it's not, if male and female can buy, it's not a matter of just shutting off female because it doesn't get an 8-to-1. You use a bid adjustment formula to figure out mathematically what is the bid per click I should bid on, assuming you're doing manual bidding, which I always do, because I want to get results without wasting too much money up front and be much more precise about things, and specifically because I always adjust the bids mathematically and I have time to do it. There's going to be a certain amount you bid for male versus female. One's going to, male might convert 20% better, so you bid 20% more on male than you do female. And respectively, once you've done that, you've gotten a gradient across your whole campaign there that gets the most views and the most time it being shown for the parts of that audience that work the best, and then it takes it from the part that works less than the best. Once you've done that, if you're needing an 8-to-1 and you're at 6-to-1 right now, you can tell Google, I'm willing to pay 20% less than I'm paying now for views of my video, no more than that. And then respectively, what you should automatically see is a return that goes from 6-to-1 to 8-to-1 now. And you'll get less volume, but it'll be at the margin you want. So the lesser the ROI percentage you need, the more overall gross sales and revenue you're going to make. And the lower, or the higher the ROI, obviously the higher the ROI. I'll just simply leave it that way. But excuse me. But that's basically it in a nutshell. As you go along, you'll figure out which actual YouTubers worked, and you'll find out of the ones that worked versus didn't work, what are the commonalities between them. And then when you go and approach other YouTubers, you'll be able to figure out which ones in general work better, and then it'll get more profitable that way. Just as an aside. But the other place where I did this was for a teeth whitener product. They have like whitener, the hydrogen peroxide products. They have the pins and the trays. Sold a variety of those products. They actually had 12 videos there. So we did more than 12 reach outs, but 12 individual ad campaigns going, which there's going to be an ad campaign or an ad group at least going for each channel that you're targeting. Okay. So that, and why does it have to be that way? Because the video review has to make sure that it goes in an ad group with the targeting, which targets the same channel, if it didn't make sense already. But anyway, we had 12 different campaigns going for this effectively. 4.9 million in sales from 12 videos here. So when it works, it can work extremely well. Usually in PPC, like I've always said, the more work you put in, the more kind of potential there is. There is some easy shortcuts generally up front, but when you're trying to look for the really, really big items that are going to really push the envelope and now get really good, return along with it, you generally have to get a little bit more creative because, click-through rate and getting people's attention in general, that's what gets you the big returns. If you can do that better than your competition can do that, and just in general, because, the markets used to be able to pay, 10 cents a view, but you can get 50 cents worth of view of value out of it, whereas everybody only gets 10 cents worth a view worth of value. You obviously can see where now you're in position to make money. So you got to think about how to do things differently. This whole thing, by the way, is doing things completely differently. I don't know of anybody else that's doing this exact strategy yet personally. So it's wide open. Absolutely should be wide open for you in your market. You can see how well this works for any kind of consumer products and services and all that. Even though I haven't done it yet, almost for sure this has to work the same way because it's the same thing. If I'm trying to hire a tax service, I would love a review from somebody who already hires that tax service to tell me how good it is, and somebody that I trust because I watch them for everything else that I want to get information about. Makes logical sense. And people should be doing this. They don't do it because I think most people just go with the flow. If other people aren't doing it, well, it must not work. Whereas if you break out of that mold and try stuff that you think should work, now you've got something that'll work extremely well. And you could scale this a lot. It can bring in a lot of sales. Because when you have 12 channels with 1 million plus people on those channels, so you effectively have, 15, 20 million people that your product can now get in front of, people which they wouldn't have bought the product themselves on their own, but because they got somebody they trusted recommending it now, you basically got effectively an artificial way to create referrals for your business now, which is, can't think of really any other way to do it. You can make a massive, massive change in your business. So 4.9 million in sales. The ROI on this the first year was 535%, so not that great, but with time, you can make it better. And ultimately, the faster you grow your campaigns, the slower you're going to get the ROI to improve. But if we would have stopped with these 12 videos and just worked on getting the ROI up, we would have got 8 to 1 if that's what we needed fairly quick, because then you don't have anything new coming in. The more you bring in new, that's more that's going to skew things to give you a worse ROI short term, as you could probably imagine. But so anyway, there's a couple examples that get to kind of whet your appetite on this whole strategy here. At the very least, should be some really good food for thought, what you can do eventually when search campaigns can't get you any more sales without really dropping the ROI on your campaigns. This is a really good go-to. As a last thing here, you do this, the reviews that you get in terms of convincing other people who come from search campaigns, in this case, like the teeth whitener product, when they go to search for teeth whitener products and later on they're on YouTube, even though they don't watch these channels we're targeting new prospects on, they start to see all these reviews, one review, then after review after review after review, you're going to increase the close rate in which you get from people that are coming from a Google search 2 to 3 times than what you would have got otherwise, because your competition's not doing it, and it's the top thing that you can use to convince somebody. So there's 2 ways that you're going to be able to make more money, and the low-hanging fruit definitely a lot of times is just going to be the search campaigns. 90% of the time it is. Once you've got search campaigns set up, so if somebody goes there, you can go ahead and add this to your formula, and then later on, if they're going to buy, your search ads are just blanketing Google, so they basically cannot not find you later on. And because they've seen you specifically before, even if they couldn't remember you, they're going to remember you, or in general, they got to choose someone to pick from. They've heard of your name now, and so if they're going to pick one from Google search, they're going to pick you at 2 to 3 times the rate that they would otherwise, on top of everything else. That's a real number too, by the way. Branded companies that are there on the top of Google search gets clicked through at 2 to 3 times the rate. So anything you can do to get more awareness that pays for itself out there will improve your search campaigns as well. So there's multiple ways that you can profit from this opportunity in general. So if you like this video here, I have a channel full of other money-making PPC strategies on this channel. If you want to make a ton of money at PPC, you should definitely check some of my other videos out. I have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns the way that guarantee results for our clients. If you'd like to see information along those lines, you can find it there. If you have any questions about this particular social media influencer PPC video, PPC campaign strategy, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person who leaves a comment or question on this channel within a couple days. And with all that said, hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in my next video where I come out with another awesome PPC strategy here on this channel in another day or 2.